Bonjour, welcome to this short video on how to make French crepes. We started celebrating La Chandeleur at Saint-Esprit 5 years ago on the Sunday of Candlemas. Crepes are one of the oldest human recipes. You can find them on all continents and they are usually strongly associated because of their round shape to the sun, prosperity and perfection. In the Christian tradition, the crepes remind us of Christ, the light of the world and the shape of the host at the Eucharist. It's become some kind of a tradition at Saint-Esprit to prepare crepes for everyone following the recipe I inherited from my great-grandmother's cookery book. I've been using this book since I was about 5 years old, and making crepes as a family is a French tradition. Ask any French person about their memories of being in the kitchen flipping crepes while everyone picks at the plate that's used to put them in a pile one by one, provided you're even able to have a pile, since they often disappear from the frying pan itself. Unfortunately, this year we cannot share physical crepes or send you digital one, so we thought that sharing the recipe with you all, even though it's not a perfect replacement, could bring some of the spirit of our French church to you. To get started, you'll need half a liter of milk. That's 16.9 fluid ounces. But if your measuring cup has milliliters, that's 500 milliliters. In another video, maybe I'll explain the metric system, but I digress. You'll also need 3 eggs. French eggs are smaller than American eggs, so you might want to mix them and remove 1 teaspoon from the beaten eggs. Then you'll need 250 grams of white flour. That's 8.82 ounces. I'm sorry, but you'll have to weigh it, because we don't use volume for cooking. Okay, if you really need it, it's about 2 cups of all-purpose flour, but if you can, please weigh it. You'll also need 1 tablespoon of oil, any oil will do, 1 teaspoon of orange blossom or kirsch or rum, but I prefer half a teaspoon of orange blossom and half a teaspoon of rum. And you'll also need a small pinch of salt. Now that you have all your ingredients, you'll need a large mixing bowl and a hand mixer. Before we start, I want to point out 2 things. First, there's no sugar in the dough. You may want to instinctively add sugar, but there's actually none in the original recipe. The sugar will be added as a topping with butter, lemon, or you could use any jam or Nutella with bananas. Possibilities are endless, except savory toppings. French crepes are made for sweet toppings. I know some of you may tell me that you've ordered crepes with ham and cheese and other savory toppings in the streets of Paris, but that's just because it's easier for those corner stores to have one dough. In reality, savory crepes use a completely different recipe with water, buckwheat flour and salt. If you don't believe me, let's ask Joris, our resident Breton. Hey Joris, can you put savory toppings on regular crepe dough?
Ah bah non!
See? Now let's make crepes. In your mixing bowl, pour the flour and make a hole in the middle. This is called faire un puits. In this hole, crack your eggs. If you think your eggs were too big, you can crack them separately, mix them, and remove a teaspoon of the beaten eggs before you put them in. Add the oil, the salt, and a little bit of milk. You can start mixing with a spoon, if it's easier, starting in the middle and letting the flour mix in. As you're mixing, add the milk in increments and keep mixing. You can probably start using the mixer now. Once all the milk is in and you've mixed it enough so that there's no lump in the mix, add your flavoring. I'll be adding my orange blossom and rum. Now, cover the mix with a cloth and let it rest for at least an hour. It's important to let it sit so that the gluten develops. Once the dough has sat for at least an hour, mix your dough with a spoon and start preparing your non-stick frying pan. It's important to butter the pan, so it must be hot but not too hot, because the butter would turn black. Once your pan is evenly heated, add a piece of butter and using your wrist action, make it swirl a bit to cover the base of the pan. Then using a ladle, drop enough to make a flat crepe and with another wrist action, try to get it to spread evenly from the middle to the outer circle of the pan. As my great-grandma would say, you can flip the crepe once you hear the grain of the crepes is drying. It makes a distinct sound and you'll get used to it. See, when you hear that sound, flip the crepe. When you hear the same sound on the other side, the crepe is ready to be put in a plate where toppings can be added. Don't get discouraged as the first crepe is always considered raté. It usually ends up in the trash or it is eaten with your fingers while the second is frying. Traditionally, when you flip the crepe, you're supposed to hold a coin in your other hand to guarantee prosperity. In the past, people would also keep the first crepe at the top of their armoire. It will bring prosperity to the household and ward off the evil eye. Now that you're done frying your first crepe, repeat these steps until you run out of dough. Remember to add a bit of butter for every crepe. It is that melted butter that gives it its distinctive color and taste. Once you're done, if there's some left, as they might have all been taken away while you were busy, add the toppings of your choice. My personal favorite is still some butter, some sugar, with a squeeze of lemon and a drop of rum. Thank you. I hope you enjoy your crepe and have a great day.